All right, so I think we are ready. Shall we start off with our briefings? Today is August 31st, the last day of August. Man, this year has flown by. In our Zoom room, we have Commissioner Randy Netherland. We have Ross McDowell, Paddy McGuire, Fiona, Don, Kelly, Frank, and Jennifer. And I believe that we're ready to take her away.
Ready for me to go, Commissioner?
I am.
Okay.
Go for it.
Paddy McGuire. Yeah, as you noted, I am pleased to report that 15 hours from now, 2/3 of 2020 will be done. So yeah, very excited about that. We do have one small election to take care of between now and the end of the year, but I've got a great staff, so we're looking forward to that. So we talked a couple weeks ago about the redistricting process in 2021-22, and this is a follow-up to that conversation about the role of the auditor's office, if any, in that process. To remind you, the county, you commissioners are going to be responsible for redrawing your own districts, and then ultimately at the end of the process, redrawing precinct boundaries. But then all the junior districts, school districts, PUDs have to, those with internal districts will have to do redistricting on their own. And so sort of the question is what role the auditor's office will play in that process in terms of providing assistance and providing for public access. I asked, Fina Ormond is on, the elections manager who was here 10 years ago, to sort of talk about the public process of redistricting last time, and just how to facilitate that now. So I will pass the baton to Fina.
Oh, we can't hear you, Fina. Nope, still can't hear you. Nope.
Mute at the bottom.
Sign language works.
Mute at the bottom left corner.
Oh,
There you go.
Okay. That's better. Oh, now we can't hear you. Give it away.
Fina,
Can't hear you. Can't hear you.
You muted again.
There you go.
Can't hear you.
You have no sound, Fina. The host in chat, she said, it said the host muted her.
It's as far as the host is concerned, it's unmuted.
Yeah.
So it's her speakers that are not working.
So Fina, why don't you come upstairs to my office? I will talk for a minute while you're running upstairs, because it sounds like we have a technical problem with your computer.
Well, I'm right next to her. She's welcome to come in here.
Yeah, why don't you head to the chamber?
Go into the
Head to
chamber,
the chamber.
because we can't.
If you can head to the chamber.
Cue the circus music.
Just a word about timing of redistricting this year. Normally, by law, the census has to provide us with the data in March of 2021. By all accounts, that's not going to happen, that they're at least 6 months behind schedule. And so, whatever we do, the time period is going to be quite compressed.
Okay, how does that affect the redistricting then?
So the deadlines on the other end, at least at this point, are unchanged. And would have to be done, everything would have to be done in time for filing in May of 2022, including the state redistricting commission meeting to do legislative boundaries and congressional boundaries. Whether this may be something that the legislature next year addresses, I have no insight into that, but given that everybody is going to be in the same boat, it could be that the legislature kicks the can down the road. I don't know. But the good news is everybody in the state is going to be in the same boat as we are. And so, it's not like this is a problem that just affects us. It's going to be every county. It's going to be the legislature. It's going to be the congressional districts. And so I presume that there will be some attention to it. Okay, Finlay, you're up.
Previously, so 10 years ago, we created an advisory board. And basically, the commissioners have 8 months from the date of the receipt of the census data to start to work on to complete their district, things. So we formed an advisory board. It was 2 Democrats, 2 Republicans, somebody from the League of Women Voters, somebody from GIS, and 2 people from the elections department. And their goal, they presented 3 versions, basically, that the commissioners could choose between, and that was under, and they did make some big changes, so I don't know that that's exactly what, it was a sort of like you would get like here we go, this is our option, or we can do it like this. A big change was made, previously. And then once that's done, the commissioners approve that, and then the precinct lines are drawn after that. And then we do have lots of precincts. Our voter registrations increased pretty substantially. So we have rules about how many registered voters we can have in precincts. And we did a division earlier last year to get our precinct numbers back in line with statute, and we need to do it again because they're all just about right at the level. So yeah, that it was having somebody from GIS overlaying the shape files with the voter registration data for the precinct, because it's both population and this. The other thing that was important was really helping the districts get the, we really encouraged everybody to use Mason County GIS because then we were sure we were getting the accurate legal descriptions and that we were sure they were doing right. There are certainly lots of companies out there who will do it for a lower price. There was one district that did use them, and they had trouble where actually somebody who was on the board was districted right out of, he was no longer eligible. So, we certainly encourage that, and that makes a big difference in how our elections are perceived if, we're kicking out ballots that, don't have the right port on them and things like that. So.
Right. And so we would be working with the GIS at Public Works?
Yes.
And I think, sort of the question is how much the auditor's office facilitates, particularly the districts, in working with the GIS. I mean, sort of doing the interpretation of the way people think about geography into an automated system, and just how much hand-holding we are able to do, and to make sure that they get a result that they want, and that makes sense and that then feeds into our system, and we can then precinct off of and not have to go back and redo it as they did 10 years ago when they got information from an outside source. And I think so we've taken a look at our budget request for 2021, and my bottom line is we would be willing and able to provide assistance to the junior districts to staff an advisory committee to present plans to the commission if we don't take a significant personnel cut from our budget request. I'm not asking for any new positions, but we'll be able to take care of this unless I'm taking a big cut in our budget. So, if I lose a position here, we're probably not going to be able to do that. But I'm not coming to you saying I need more people to be able to do this. We'll be able to do it with a status quo budget in terms of personnel, with a little bit of training money in the GIS systems. So that's my bottom line. We're here to help. We want to assist the districts and make this a public process. And if there are any citizens, I think this is more likely at the legislative or congressional level, but if there are citizens that want to come in and draft a plan on commissioner districts, we'd be willing and able to help them work with the GIS staff at Public Works to do that, to sort of facilitate that public process. So, our bottom line is we're here to help as long as I've got enough staff to be able to do that. And again, in the budget request you're going to see tomorrow, I'm not asking for additional staff.
Okay, great. Randy, do you have any questions?
I'm sure you were on last week, weren't you, when we were talking about our financial situation and how we believe we're going to be status quo plus increases?
Yes.
That's all I got.
All right, so if you could provide us maybe with a timeline as far as the redistricting needs to go, that would be, I would appreciate that.
Yeah, we'd be, without knowing when we're going to get the data from, right. I mean, we know where the finish line is. We don't yet know where the starting line is. So,
it was really early and we got it in March. So, certainly there's, no hints of it coming early,
No.
And then it really was pretty much ready to go for commissioner view by July, and there were some bigger changes made there. So I don't, we consolidated massive amount of precincts. They had changed statute about that. So, unless the commissioners, unless you guys give us a little direction, like, hey, we'd like everything, whatever, done horizontal or some, which probably wouldn't really work. But, unless there's a big change for wanting things to really look differently, the precincts just need some tweaking. We're not going to be doing some sort of massive overhaul like they did last time. So, so that's kind of just to show you how long, and then the other districts have more time to do it because they don't hold elections in they won't be holding elections in 2022. So they have more time. They're supposed to do it within 8 months of when we give it to them, but they have more time because it doesn't need to be done technically until candidate filing week in 2023.
The speculation I have heard and read is that census data will probably be about 6 months late, which would give it to us in September, not March. We will still have, absent a legislative change, we will still have a May deadline for candidates to file in the new districts. So at least commissioner candidate singular, I guess, So that has to be done. And the precincts will need to be done too. So
I have a question on, Fina, who selected the advisory board members when that was formed 10 years ago?
You know, I don't know. I don't know if that was something Karen sort of, Karen and Amber kind of got a good sense that they felt that that was a nice, you know, a balance. You know, I think they asked the Democrats to send 2 people. I don't know that, it wasn't that we picked 2 Democrats.
Right, usually yes.
Yeah, we just asked the to send 2, the Republicans, the League of Women Voters.
But the auditor's office formed that committee?
I believe so.
Okay.
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
So I would assume that it was delegated to the auditor by the commissioner.
All right.
okay.
So we'll just wait for you to
Thank
get
you,
back with us.
commissioners. Okay.
Thanks, Fiona. Ina. Oh, goodness. All right, moving on to, I believe it's Frank.
Good morning, commissioners.
Good morning.
Our first item is extension of the emergency declaration. And Ross, if you would bring that forward.
And so we need to concur if you're good with their appointment. Nicolette Oliver from Thurston County.
Okay, I'm good.
Okay.
Do we need to put it on the agenda, or do we need to put it through?
Yeah, it'll go on the September 8th.
Okay. So now it's Ross with the declaration request.
Alrighty, thank you. Good morning, commissioners and everybody else. Hello. What I have before you is a extension of the Mason County Local Disaster Declaration of Disaster 2020-32 and 2020-54. We have extended the original one for 90 days. That 90 days will be up September 21st. And to make it a little bit easier on us and on the county to keep track of this, what I'm suggesting is that we marry with the state as to what their disaster declaration, as long as they're in a disaster declaration, Mason County will also be in a disaster declaration. Therefore, we won't need to do any more reissuance or extendings to that. Once again, in the disaster declaration, we do want to make sure that we did pull out the last time and want to keep it out. The section that originally stated that unannounced entry and access into about private property, we don't need that. That is something that's not needed, and it was struck out in 2020-54, and we would still like to keep that out. So I will have a resolution for you for your next meeting, which will be on September 8th, I believe.
Yes.
Is your next actual meeting for the Board of County Commissioners after Labor Day? Yes,
Yep.
For approval of the declaration.
Sounds good to me. I like that you're marrying it to the governor's office, because we don't know when this is going to end, and everything is determined on that office. So
True enough. And also the same thing with the CARES Act dollars and all that stuff that goes along with it. It's all kind of put together with the state.
Right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ross. Our next item is an update on the Housing Authority. I did have a communication with the prosecutor. The deputy prosecutor's on vacation. So Mike and Tim and I will discuss further this week when Tim is back from vacation, the responsibilities and the authorities that are part of the Housing Authority, and what happens regarding the sale of those parcels and or the dissolution of the housing authority itself. So we'll be back with that information at our next briefing.
Okay. Sounds good.
The CARES Act funding, I had forwarded to each of you the document regarding the CARES Act distribution. This is a live document. By that, I mean it's constantly changing and being updated. The items that are in yellow again are the new items that are being added to it. The other items I've added to that spreadsheet is what has already been approved and what has already been purchased. But let me start off with what has been added. The Port of Allen has made a request. Actually, they modified their request just recently. I believe it was on Friday.
Right.
They increased it to 18,000. There's also a question in regards to the economic assistance to the local media groups. When we gave the 300,000 to the EDC, it was decided that the Shelton media groups, specifically the Journal, the request from Hood Canal and the request from iFiber, were excluded from that. However, the intent was that it to be added into another set of dollars that are going to be forwarded for economic assistance. So the question I have is, does the board want to move forward with that? And would it like to add the Port of Allen's request to that?
Madam Chair, may I?
Yes.
I believe what we had done is we had all agreed that there was going to be a certain amount of money for, there was three of them that were being discussed at the time. It was not Hood Canal Communications. It was iFiber One, it was the Journal, and it was Mason Web TV. And talking to Mason Web TV, I'm not sure they're still in any need of it. We'll have further conversations with that. But we had all agreed as a commission that we wanted those ones to go further separated out from the districts because it served all three districts. And we had expected that that was going to be in that first amount. And I'd still like to see us just move forward with those right now. The other ones, I'd like to wait and have conversations when we have all three commissioners.
Right. I agree. Definitely our media. Let's get them some help. We don't want to lose them. But the Port of Allen, I'd like to review that a little bit more before we give a definite.
Okay. Commissioner, you mentioned that the Mason Web TV may not request it. Can you give me a contact for?
It's Diedrich, but yeah, but I'll talk to him again. I sent him a text and he hasn't responded to the last time I had talked to him. He's there in the room, but I'll go in if we have a break and I'll ask him again. But we'll get it back. We'll get the information back to you. But originally what we had agreed on, I believe, was 10, 10, and 5. It was 10,000 for iFiber, 10,000 for the Journal, and 5 for Mason Web TV. And we had asked that that be put on at the same time. It just, we didn't want it designated per district for those monies. We wanted those to be completely separate and not taken out of one district alone.
Okay.
Is that what you remember, Commissioner Trask?
That is, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then we'll add that to the EDC program that we have already established.
Right, and then the EDC can distribute that as well.
Correct.
Yeah. Do you need to put that on the agenda for our next meeting, or can you just do it?
I have to put it on the agenda.
Okay. Thank you.
The next item is a request by Community Lifeline for addition of 2 shower units for them to be able to expand their capacity or their services. Ross, do you want to take a moment to talk specifically?
I thought we agreed. We already did that one last week and agreed to move that forward.
Right, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
And then there's a line item for daycare for county employees that one of the commissioners asked to be added. We're working with the Boys and Girls Club in North Mason, as well as some the Y program, to offer daycare for services for Mason County employees. So we've put $125,000 into that bucket for future and further conversation as and if the potential for that comes together. There's lots of licensing requirements and other restrictions and details around whether or not the county can put that together. We're in conversation with the Mass Transit Authority, Mason County Transit Authority, for their location. The Public Works is also another location that we may be able to put a facility into. So as that comes together, I'll come back to the board to discuss what the details are. I just put a placeholder in there for $125,000.
Okay, let's make sure that we discuss this with our legal counsel, make sure that this is doable before we progress too far, I think.
And actually, there's a big issue or big question in regards to insurances and how that will work if we use our own facility. So, yeah, it'll all have to be part of a large conversation.
Okay.
Then everything else that's on the list stays and remains what was on the list previously. The contract for the build out of Building 10 should be coming to us today. There were some changes and modifications that needed to be added to that. One of the items was, and this is a learned lesson for us, the RFP excluded sales tax from the proposal. And what our accounts payable and financial services department is suggesting is that we include sales tax in all of our invoicing through the construction project and construction. That would eliminate a lot of work on the financial services side to impute sales tax. So we're asking the contractor to put a change order together to include sales tax for all of the construction. In addition, there was asbestos testing that was performed, and there was asbestos found in the building. So there's a asbestos remediation that needs to occur, which is going to be about $86,000 added to the contract. So the contract price will be adjusted by the sales tax and the $86,000 for remediation of the asbestos that was found in via testing. Other than that, everything else basically stays the same. And as you can see on that format, the items that have been approved, and now I'm adding the community lifeline to that, has been listed, as well as what has been already purchased. Any questions?
I have one thing I'd like the commission to discuss for a second. Commissioner Trask, right now we have things going on. We both know this weekend or this next weekend that's coming up, and there's a lot of dangerous stuff out there. Our people are put at great risk right now. There seems to be a habit of spitting and stuff during events like what we're talking about, spitting on officers and stuff like that. And I think it's our responsibility, even though we have not discussed that with the sheriff's department, to at least have from our direction go forward and ask them if protection for their head and face wouldn't fall under that COVID money for immediate action to get them gear that would cover their head and their face. I just think it won't be able to get done before this next weekend. But in case anything else happens or anything in the near future, we need to keep them from being able to have bodily fluids put on them. And it wouldn't be bad if we can also protect from a brick or a rock.
Yeah.
So,
or a frozen bottle of water, or so many.
The CARES Act would cover those expenses, as would some of the money that public health has. There's money that DEM has as well that are earmarked for first responders, of which the sheriff's office would be one of. So there are a number of pots of money that could be pulled from. The question becomes what specifically, how many, and when can we get them ordered?
Right, can you get a hold of Travis as soon as we end our meeting, if you could give him a call?
I will.
And
let's see if we can do something to protect our officers from the potential of what could happen this weekend.
yes. And if there's any possibility to utilize any of those funds to allow them just to move forward immediately with some and go pick them up somewhere, I'd like us to find a way to do that, even if it's special meeting is required or anything. I just think this is one of those things we shouldn't wait for. But I think there's different funds that you can reach into already and get it without us. But I'd like to see us do it immediately if there's anything on the shelf they could get.
Yeah, from the public health.
If you could also get a hold of Chief Moody.
Yeah, please. Yeah, we can help their officers as well, can't we?
Yes.
Yeah, so yeah, please get a hold of Chief Moody too.
I will, on both cases.
Thank you for bringing that up. That's awesome.
Okay, we'll do that as soon as our meeting is finished here.
Thank you.
The next item is a contract with Fire District 11 for services at Public Works. This was brought forward a couple of weeks ago. It's a request by Fire District 11 to update a contract for fire services for the Public Works facility for $6,400. The question that was raised was if we're going to pay for services rendered by the Fire District for Public Works, the county services the fire districts as part of collecting for their property taxes as well as paying their bills and mostly treasurer types of responsibilities and functions. All of the fire districts, of which we have between 12 and 14, the county spends about $400,000 for servicing their needs. If we were to simply take an average of each of those, that represents about $30,000 per fire district. The reason we don't charge them is because that would bankrupt a lot of fire districts if we were to charge them for those services. So we've never included or requested to charge those districts. The request here for them to charge us kind of asks the question, does it make sense for the county to charge them? So with that said, we're still reviewing what the possibility is and what the requirements are for the county. Can the county charge them? And is it appropriate for the fire district to charge the county? So here again, I'm working with the prosecutor and deputy prosecutor to discuss those items, as well as financial services and the auditors, the state auditor's office, as to the authorities we do or don't have in that regard. So we'll be bringing that forward in the next couple of weeks again.
Frank, I have an opinion on that. I'd like you to, the commission to consider as well. I definitely understand the argument for not, because we don't with others, but we have historically done this one, and I'm sure they have it in their budget for this year. To change horses on them in the middle of a budget, in the middle of COVID is probably not the wisest thing. I'd like to see us look at supporting it this year, as we had already, they had already thought we had an agreement for, with the idea that we will look at all of it for a change for the next budget cycle. That's just my opinion.
Yep, I will. I'm not sure it's an annual contract. I believe it's for a term. I'm not sure how long.
I think we've been paying this though for several years, for many years, I should say.
We've had a contract since 2016, I believe, which is when we first entered into this contract. So I'm assuming it's a 4-year contract or a 3-year contract, of which we're in the 4th year renewal. So I will look at that, and we can set it up that way, even if it is a 1-year contract that we enter into. To allow for them the budgeting aspect of what you're suggesting. Okay.
I believe it is a 1-year contract.
It is? Okay. Next item is the conversation we had last week and previously about opening up the county. The second floor has started processing the QLES system and is working towards implementing that. The suggestion was made by the county to review after Labor Day whether or not the county wants to reopen as on the first floor in the rest of the county. With that thought in mind, I wanted to revisit the pandemic policy that we had put forward. Actually, we have put two policies forward, a rather lengthy plan that was reviewed, and then a shortened version of that, which gives the department heads and the electeds the information that they need in order to understand what the requirements are from a state perspective, what the legal requirements are from a public health perspective, the health officer's perspective, the Department of Health, as well as LNI and all of the other agencies throughout the state that have mandated certain requirements or mitigation policy around what's required for the county to open up for citizen participation. Do we want to bring those items forward again? And if so,
I know that other cities do have it. Very few counties have a policy. And I do know that LNI was here last week, I think, checking on us. So in reviewing the policy myself, I've got a few questions as far as legal authority and whether or not so I'd really like to sit with our legal team and go over this with them as well, just so that we know that everyone's protected.
Yep,
and
absolutely.
that policy is secure.
So what I can do then is after you've had an opportunity to have those conversations, I'll work with the prosecutor's office to make any changes and modifications. And then at our next meeting, not on the 8th.
8th is a commission meeting, but the briefing would be on the 14th. Diane.
Okay, so I'll bring that back on the 14th with modifications. And I think that's all we have.
Commissioner, do you have anything that you'd like to discuss?
Nope. Frank, I'll give you a call later on something though.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, commissioners.
Thank you. All right, let me get to the right page here. All right, so now we're going to move on into our community services briefing. Who do we have from community services?
I'm here. Michael.
Hey, how are you?
Hi, Michael.
Open my thingy here. Hi.
There you are. Good to see your face.
Everybody else is good to see you guys too. It's been a long time. I've got a really simple item if you guys are ready for it.
Good.
And I looked on the website. I didn't see my briefing packet there. You guys have it?
We do.
So some time ago, like almost a year ago, we contracted for a grant from the Department of Archaeology and Historic Preservation to send the HBC to a conference in Tacoma in this past July. And of course, that turned into an online event. And also it's, they taped it so people can really watch it whenever. But, I think the original contract was for $3,000+ plus. All we really needed was $800. So what you have before you is a contract amendment to reduce the amount to $800 and to extend the deadline for our deliverable, which was summaries from all the members to the end of October.
And all of this is going to be online, right? Or via, I think that's how they're doing all conferences now.
He's already happened. I've collected reports from the majority of our members at this point.
I'm good.
So we would put that on the calendar for next Tuesday, and I'll make sure you have the original to sign.
Great. Thank you.
All right. See you next time, I guess. Thank you. Yeah.
Be good.
Thanks, Michael. All right, Commissioner, do we need a break, or we don't have Public Works yet on the line, I don't think.
Well, if you don't mind, I have another question for you that might help us for the day as well, because I'm looking at these. Coming up, we have the 2 judges.
Yeah.
I don't see any reason to meet on those. We know, at least I think I'm very much in favor of them. It needs to be done on those. Is there any reason to meet with them?
I don't think so. Either one. I think Judge Goodell and Judge Steele, I think that those are things that we absolutely have to have.
Yeah, I don't think there's a question
There's
either.
no way around it.
I'm okay with just calling them and letting them know that they don't have to unless they want to. Frank, what do you think?
I can give them a quick call and let them know, and then see if they need to come back.
Okay.
And if you want to take a break, I'll give a call to Loretta and her team and let them know that we're running a little early and get them on.
Okay, and I'll be available here. You can just, well, actually, you're not here. Somebody let me know. You want to just set it for 5 or 10 minutes, Commissioner?
Yeah, let's go for 10.
Okay. See you guys in 10.
Thank you.
Thanks. So we still have somebody on the phone. Who do we have on the phone?
Hey there, it's Cal.
Oh, hey, Cal.
So, Mike, are we with the community services now? Is that
Oh, no.
I am right time?
We done did that.
Community services was at 9:45. And we went through that one rather quickly. We had Michael.
Oh, you did? Because I was on and then I never heard. Okay, so I just wasn't able to hear. Okay,
Oh, no.
sorry.
That's
Then you're all good with me.
Okay.
Sorry about that.
That works. Well, we're going to move on to our next item.
Okay, awesome. Thanks.
Thanks, Kel. Hey, can you give me
Bye.
a call later?
What's that?
Can you give me a call later?
Yeah, I can.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Bye.
All right, so now let's move on to our Public Works.
Good morning. Happy Monday.
Good morning. Happy Monday to you too.
All right. So commissioners, we have a relatively light agenda compared to last week's briefing. We have one more proposed road vacation request that Mike will go through. And then we also have a retirement to announce.
Yeah.
And just some update on our chip seal and also our radio tech position. And with that, I'll kick it over to Mike to talk about the road vacation request.
I should be getting used to these. This is
Oh, my goodness.
number 401. This is a petition for True North Investment to vacate several streets in the plats of Lakewood. Plat number, Plat A, Plat C, Plat D as in dog, and Plat F. These plats were recorded between 1912 and 1913. We verified that there appears to be the roads were unopened and unmaintained, so they were never developed. What we're requesting from the board is just to set a hearing date for the hearing examiner. I believe it's set for October 14th, 2020.
Now, did you say vacate by action of law or vacate just because we don't need it? I didn't hear.
These roads or these plats are between 1912 and 1913, so no
Later. Okay.
requirements of the active law.
Okay.
This
I'm okay with putting it on the agenda, but that one there was some safety issues on it as well. Again, I'm okay with putting it on the agenda for a moment, but I'm not positive whether I'll be voting for or against until the time, because we know I'm not a fan of doing this, especially with no compensation. But I think that when you set me down and we went over it, and I know that area is pretty wet and it's over an area of clay where they have slippage. So again, Commissioner, I'm okay with putting it on the agenda.
Okay, I'm good.
All right, thank you, commissioners. We have Kim Griggs, who has been with Mason County Public Works as a truck driver for 28 years, retiring at the end of September. And first want to congratulate Kim and thank him for his time of service here. Had a great safety record and wish him all kinds of happiness in his new job. Happy retirement. And then, of course, we're requesting approval, commissioners, to advertise and post for refilling his position.
When is his retirement date?
It is the 30th of this month, or of September, excuse me, 31st, whatever the last day is of this month.
Wow, well, happy for him.
In our retirement celebrations.
Right.
Typically, Public Works would host a potluck, and our fellow retirees and others would attend, and it's just kind of we're scratching our heads on how to do things in our lovely COVID environment.
Right, right. Quite a change for everyone. Well,
Yes,
I'm happy that he's getting the opportunity to retire, but good for posting as well.
all right, thank you. And along those lines, also, I'll jump to the radio tech position. Matt Heinrich submitted his resignation today, and Matt has been offered a position as assistant fire chief, which has been his passion. A wee one, and he is super excited to accept and take that position. And we are super sad to see Matt go. He's been a fantastic addition to our ER&R and mechanics team, and he provides outstanding service. To the end, Matt was, in his resignation letter, lined out all of the things that he was going to accomplish between now and 2 weeks, and how he was going to make sure that the rest of the team was successful, and was very complimentary of his supervisor, Jeremy, and the rest of his team. And Matt's definitely going to be missed, but we congratulate him on his new, well, not new, moving on to his passion. And that's just awesome. Great community service.
That's cool. I'm happy
Yeah.
for him, but sad at the same time. But it's always, I think it's always exciting for me to see people begin or start a new process, a new adventure, I guess. And sounds like he's going to have a fun one.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yes, indeed. All right. And then Mike's going to give you a quickie update on our chip seal.
Are you requesting the radio technician position be filled, or you're not filling it?
At this time, Diane, thank you for asking that. We're going to monitor workload. So Jeremy, Mike, and I talked about that. And since we're in a bit of transition, we just want to take the opportunity to take a look at how things are going and needs, and we'll go from there.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
You bet.
Our chip seal program, we're going to start up chip sealing here next week. It'll be on the 8th when we begin, but our specific road we want to notify you about is Trails End Road. We're going to close that road for a half a mile up the hill and during the chip seal operations on the 10th, and that'll be closed between 9 a.m. and 4 p.m. That'll make us a lot more efficient about getting a good double shot on that road and not have the traffic as a problem. And when you have that first chip seal on the hill like that, it could be tender and you could have with traffic on it, you could actually damage it. So if we can get that closed, that would be the best way to address that.
Just give plenty of notice to Trails End Lake and Mason Benson Community Club so they can prepare for that because it increases their travel time by like 20 minutes.
We will do that
Right.
already.
And you'll get notice out to all the community.
Correct. Kelly's prepared an announcement and information to post on the web and Facebook page as well.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. And I think that's about it on our end.
Okay, well, it looks like you guys are going to have lovely, lovely weather to do everything that's needed before the rain comes for a while anyway.
Yes, we're taking advantage of it.
Can you please give me the timeline for when they're going to start doing Highway 300?
Good question.
And also, I still haven't met with anybody to go look at the J-Box location and that corner, I think at Effendall and Belfort Tahuya.
Yes, Mike was planning to get with you today, Commissioner, to find a time to get up there.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I also appreciate you speaking with concerned citizens. I know that there was confusion saying that the commissioners wanted to dissolve the recycle program. Well, that was the farthest thing from what we wanted to do, and it's sad that was relayed to people, caused a lot of concern in the community. So thank you so much for speaking with the concerned citizens.
Oh, you're very welcome, Commissioner. And we also talked this morning briefly amongst ourselves about making sure we've got good messaging if our booth attendants are asked about that as well.
Oh, very cool.
Because we want to make sure that, that we're getting the right information out there.
Right. It's my hope that if citizens are concerned, if our residents are concerned about anything, that they absolutely reach out to any of us, and we can either resolve the confusion or figure out why there is confusion.
Yes, agreed.
Well, the first solution, of course, would start with actually making a phone call and asking us what our opinion is and what we think. What might be an interesting concept.
That's true. That's true.
That's right. Well, we're here to help as much as we can with facts and provide information. So to do that.
We appreciate you. We know that you are always Public Works and I would say Mason County as a whole is here to help and to, if there is confusion, please reach out. All right. Do you have anything else for us?
Brandy, is any time today open? We're pretty open for the rest of this afternoon.
Yeah, I have chemo today. I can do it after chemo.
Okay.
That sounds good.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Frank, were you able to get a hold of the judges?
Yes, I was, and gave them both information in regards to your decisions. I also tried to contact Travis, but Travis is off today. I spoke to Chief Drackleby, and indicated to him that we're here to help with whatever they need. They're not sure that they need anything more than what they currently have. But if they do, they'll get back to me right away and let me know.
Fantastic. Thank you. And then if you could reach out to the city as well.
Yep, I haven't made that reach yet, but I will.
Okay. All right. Well, gosh, I think that was the agenda, right?
To make it clear on the record, since if people aren't looking at the packet, the court's request was extra help bailiff, increase the hourly rate. And then this is from Superior Court and District Court. And then just our Superior Court was requesting extra help non-judicial staff. So that way people know what it is that you're approving to move forward.
Great. Thank you. Thank you. And I think that those were all essential as far as following the guidelines for the COVID situation to meet those requirements. So, okay. We have anything else, Commissioner discussion?
Early chemo.
Yay. And if anyone out there is listening still, please stay home this weekend and stay safe. All right. We're adjourned. See you later.